All right, my secondary math 1 class. Welcome back to notes. We are going to be continuing to talk about systems of equations. Today we're going to continue practicing graphing them, and then we're going to learn how to solve them using what's called substitution. Okay, so just get this ready. Okay, so remember, when we're talking about systems, it just means more than one. Okay, so we're either going to graph more than one equation, or we're going to have more than one equation in order to solve something, okay? So let's go ahead and let's review. Sorry, I was thinking about what I wanted to do first. Let's first make a note in our paper, just like we did last time, about slope, intercept, form. Okay, because when graphing these equations, they're written in slope-intercept form, which is always written as y equals m times x plus b. Okay, and when we have y equals m times x plus b, what is our m? What's the number that's always right in front of that x? It's going to be our slope. Remember, whatever's right in front of the x is our slope. Okay, and if that's our slope, we know that our b is our y-intercept. Hence the reason it's called slope-intercept form, because it tells us our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at number 1. So we're solving this system of equations, meaning more than one equation, by graphing them. So remember, we're just going to take it one graph at a time. Okay, so I have my top one, my pink graph. So we need to figure out the slope and the y-intercept for my pink line. Okay, well, I know my slope is right in front of my x, so it's going to be 1 over 3, which is perfect because remember, slope is rise over run. Okay, then my y-intercept is what's on the end, is going to be that -4. Perfect, so let's go ahead and graph that. Okay, remember, we start with our y-intercept, always. Our y-intercept is our starting point, so we're going to find -4 on our y-axis. It's going to be right there. Okay, and then we're going to use our slope to count to our next point. So rise over run, so I need to rise 1 and run 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and there is my straight line. Connect it with a straight line, put arrows at the end, and there we go. Okay. Now we have our green line. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to identify slope and y-intercept for our green line. Okay? So what is our slope? What's right in front of my x? -2 over 3. Okay, and my y-intercept is -1. Okay, so remember we start with our y-intercept, so find -1 on your y-axis, right there. And our slope is going to be -2 over 3. Okay, remember, a negative slope needs to go down to the right. So instead of going up 2, we're going to go down 2. 1, 2, and over 3. 1, 2, 3. And connect those 2 points because our whole goal was to find where these 2 lines cross. This point right there is actually our answer. We had to graph them in order to find that answer. Okay? So the answer, or the solution to this system of equations, is this coordinate point. Okay, always line it up with your x-axis first. So 3 and down to -3. 3, comma, -3. Remember, we always write coordinate points as the x first and then the y. 3, comma, -3. Perfect. So let's do that again for number 2. Okay, so I have my top line, which is my pink line. So let's do our slope and y-intercept for our pink line. My slope is right in front of my x. What is right in front of my x? It's that invisible number. It's actually 1. Okay, and my y-intercept is on the end at -3. So let's go ahead and graph that. So start with our y-intercept. So find -3 on your y-axis. Right there. And our slope is 1, or we can rewrite it. So let me rewrite it right here. So 1 over 1 or 1. Okay, the 1 over 1 helps us with rise over run, because remember, we're going to go up 1, but we also need to go over 1. Up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. Okay, see how that line just keeps going? Beautiful. Okay, so connect those points with a straight line, arrows at the end, and we graphed our pink line. Now we have our green line. So let's identify the slope and y-intercept for our green line. Okay, our slope, again, what is that invisible number in front of our x? It's going to be 1 or 1 over 1 if we want to write it as a fraction. Okay, and then what's our y-intercept? That's also 1. Which one do we start with when graphing? Okay, we start with our y-intercept, so at +1, so find +1 on your y-axis, right there. And now our slope again is up 1 and over 1. So up 1, over 1. Up 1, over 1. Uh-oh. I'm not seeing anywhere where they might cross. Let's see. Go down 1, back 1, because remember we can go forwards or backwards. Down 1, back 1. Oh no. What is the answer? What's the solution? Where do these guys cross? Okay, remember, when we have the same slope, okay, remember our slope right here is 1 and our slope right here is 1. That equals no solution. Okay, so the answer to number 2 is no solution. Perfect. Okay, let's do number 3. So let's start with our pink line up top. Same thing, slope, y-intercept. Okay, what is my slope for my pink line? What's right in front of my x? 1 over 4. And what's my y-intercept? -3. Okay, so we're going to start with our y-intercept, so find -3 on your y-axis. It's right there. Okay, and then we're going to rise 1, right? Rise over run. Rise 1 and run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, remember, if you want to go backwards, we can do that too. So go down 1 and back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's still creating that straight line, which I didn't draw too straight, but you get it. Okay, so there's our pink line. Now let's graph our green line. So we need our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, for our green line, our slope is 2, or if we want to rewrite it as rise over run, we would do 2 over 1. Remember, just put a 1 on bottom, and that turns it into a fraction. Okay, then our y-intercept is going to be at +4. Okay, so we start with our y-intercept. Okay, so start at +4 right there. And then we're going to use our slope to go up 2 and over 1. Uh-oh, I can't go up 2. What do I need to do? Okay, let's go backwards. So let's go down 2, 1, 2, and back 1. Sorry, I didn't realize that was locked. So let's go down 2 and back 1. Okay, I don't see any points where they're going to cross yet, so let's keep going backwards. Down 2, over 1. Down 2, over 1. Down 2, over 1. Okay, it's a good thing we kept going backwards so we can see exactly where they cross. Okay, so the answer to this system of equations is this coordinate point where they cross. Okay, so let's line it up with our x-axis first, so it lines up with -4. And then goes down to -4. So -4 for the x and -4 for the y. So our answer, parentheses, -4, comma, -4, close parentheses. And there we go. Okay, one more with graphing. So let's look at number 4. Okay, so let's start with our pink line, figure out our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, so look at this equation. Look at our pink equation. Do we see a y in there? Because remember, slope-intercept form is always written with the y first. Where is my y? Okay, there is no y. No y. Which means our slope is undefined. Okay, remember how it looks when it's undefined? When it's 0, it's flat. Okay, but when it's undefined, it's straight up and down. So what this actually means is we are going to put a point at 2 for our x, because x equals 2, and it's going to go straight up and down at that point, just like that. Again, not the straightest line, but you get it. Okay, so that's it. That's it for our pink line. Let's do our green line. So slope and y-intercept for our green line. Slope is 1 over 2, rise over run, and my y-intercept is at positive 2. Okay, so start with your y-intercept. So on your y-axis, put positive 2, and we're gonna rise over run 1 over 2. So rise 1, run 2. And there we go. We can already see where they intersect at this point right there. Okay, so let's figure out what that point is. Line it up with your x, which we know it's already lined up with 2. And then it goes up to 3 on our y-axis. So our answer for number 4 is parentheses 2, comma, 3. Remember, you must include these parentheses when writing coordinate points. Okay, awesome job, you guys. So now let's talk about a different way to find this answer, find the answer to a system of equations. Okay, so the second way, first we learned to solve them by graphing. The second way is by substitution. So let's go ahead and define substitution. What does that mean to you? Okay, think if I'm gone and I have a substitute, what is that substitute doing? It's replacing me. Okay, so substitute literally just means replacing something. Okay? So let's look at number 5. So the whole point is we need to replace something. Okay? So if we're looking at number 5, let's zoom in a little bit. Notice on number 5 how this, so let's label y as green. Okay? So y equals this side. Okay? So y equals that side. Okay, but then look at our second equation. Look at how this one also equals y. Okay, true or false? Does y equal y? Yep. Okay, so here's what we can do. We can set this piece equal to this piece. Since y equals y, which is true, y equals y, we can set this piece to that piece. Okay, so we're going to take negative 4x plus 1, set it equal to the other piece, x plus 1. Okay, so now look at our equation we're dealing with. Do you see any more y's? No, we're only dealing with x's, which is perfect because when solving for a variable, you can't have another variable. Okay, so we're only dealing with x's. So this is how we're going to solve. Okay, but in order to solve, we need to have all of our x's on one side of my equal sign. See how I have negative 4 over here and 1 right here? Well, we need to move either one of these over so they're all on one side. Okay, I like moving the smaller one. Negative 4 is smaller than 1. So let's go ahead and move these over here. How am I going to move, or what is the opposite of negative 4x? Positive 4x. Okay, and that's going to move him over here. Okay, and remember, we can only combine x's with x's. Okay, so what we're left with is 1 is still on this side of my equal sign. 1x plus 4x's will give me 5x's. And I had that plus 1 still over there. Okay, awesome. And now we can just solve for x. Okay, so the first thing I need to get rid of is what's farthest away from my x. So we're trying to get this x by itself. How am I going to move this plus 1? We need to subtract 1. What's 1 minus 1? 0 equals 5x. Okay, we're almost there. What is the opposite of times by 5? This is saying 5 times x. So how do I get rid of times by 5? Going to divide by 5. And what is 0 divided by 5? That's just 0. Okay, now here's the thing. When we were graphing, let's go back to one of our graphs. When we were graphing, we could find the x and the y. Okay, we had 2 answers. Okay, but for now, I just want us to find the x. Okay, so let's make a note on our paper. Just solve for x for now. Okay, which we did. We figured out that at number 5, x equals 0. Okay, well, let's do the same thing. For number 6, we see that y equals 2x, but then y also equals 4. Okay, well, because y equals y, we can take this piece and set it equal to that piece. So 2x equals 4. Oh, easy peasy. Now I don't have any more y's. Okay, this is a one-step equation, so the only thing I need to get rid of to get x by itself is this times by 2. What is the opposite of times by 2? Going to divide by 2. Okay, divide by 2 on both sides, and we're going to get our x. What is 4 divided by 2? It's going to give me 2. And I'm just wanting you to solve for x. And there we go. Okay, let's do the same thing. Okay, they both equal y, so y equals 0. But y also equals this side. Because y is the same thing as y, we can take this piece and set it equal to that piece. So we can solve for x. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve for x. So let's get rid of what's farthest away from the x. This -3 is attached to it, so we need to get rid of this plus 6 first. What is the opposite of plus 6? Subtract 6. So subtract 6 from both sides. So what is 0 minus 6 going to give me? -6 equals -3x that is still left over. Okay, now be careful here. This is not saying -3 or x minus 3. This is saying -3 times x. So what is the opposite of times by -3? Divide by -3. Okay, so x is going to be all by itself. And then we can ask ourselves, what is -6 divided by a -3? Negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. 6 divided by 3 is going to give me 2. So my x is 2. Awesome job. Let's do one more. We have y equals -3 and y equals 4x plus 9. Since y is the same thing as y, we can take -3 and set it equal to 4x plus 9. Okay. -3 equals 4x plus 9. So first thing I need to get rid of is this plus 9 since it's farthest from my x. What is the opposite of plus 9? It's going to be to subtract 9. Okay, so what is -3 minus 9 more? What do I get? -3 minus 9. -12. We're getting more negative, so -12 equals 4x. or 4 times something equals negative 12. Okay, well then what is the opposite of times by 4? Divide by 4. Okay, and our last step to get x by itself is negative 12 divided by 4, which is going to give me what? Negative 12 divided by 4 is going to give me negative 3. And there we go. So that is the first part of solving systems of equations using substitution. We're replacing, okay? We're replacing the y's with what they equal to. Okay, awesome job, you guys. You have an assignment that goes with it.